What is up, Laker Nation? I'm your host for the 70213 Lakers podcast, Vegas covering LA. I'm Kyle Randolph here with Isaiah Torres. How you doing, Isaiah?
I'm doing good, man. I'm happy. Lakers are up 2-0 in the series.
Oh, I bet you are. Man, missed your last episode, man.
I
Glad you
know.
back.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Great game too, and I'm looking forward to for us talking about it and see how the rest of the series goes.
Oh, these are some great teams, man. This NBA playoffs has been one of the best, most, how do I word this, well-rounded I've seen in my life. We
Yeah.
got the Mavs Clippers round one. Ooh.
No, yeah, we really did have some really good grueling series. I think I said a few weeks ago the Western matchups were a little bit more exciting. I
We did
felt
get a
like
lot of sweeps.
the Eastern Conference in the beginning was, pretty ugly, but
Yeah.
when we got to the second round and where we're at now, we got some surprises, Defending champs Toronto went down, number 1 seed, the Bucks go down. So it kind of made up a little bit for the first round sweeps.
Yeah, there was a lot, but we got a little pregame stream today. We know what's happening. We got game 3, Nuggets, Lakers. You're previewing that. You got a preview article up. Viewers, make sure you check out Isaiah Torres' Laker Nuggets preview. But any big notes from that article that you have to announce to the audience? Well, what are you expecting this game?
Man, this game, I feel, you know what? I'm looking at Denver. I know they're comeback kids, down 3-1 in the previous both series for them. I just think when you do that comeback, right, and you climb all your way back and you still lose like that in a game-winning format, in that fashion,
Yeah.
for most teams it kills your spirit.
All
And
that for nothing, right?
yes, all that for nothing. Like Mike Malone said after the game, at this point in the Western Conference Finals, there are no more moral victories. We lost the game. That's it. So I'm thinking it crushes their spirit. If Lakers keep playing the way they have been in the previous 2 games, and they continue to put their foot on the gas and not let up and do silly turnovers like they did in game 2, they should take care of business in game 3. Kendrick Perkins, and I saw that he said that this one's already over. He expects the Lakers to sweep them the rest of the way through. I'm not sure if I see it be a sweep. Denver's not going to go down that easy. We know that now. But man, it's tough. You do a comeback, all that effort, and you see that shot go in for the Lakers at the very end. It kills your spirit as a team. So I think Lakers take care of business today in game 3 as well.
Yeah, here's one thing, though, and a sweep is very well possible with how the Lakers have been playing. Their three-point shooting has improved so much, because before it was inconsistent. At the end of the regular season, I remember both me and you, we had our doubts about them.
Yeah.
Because their three-point shooting, but it's been consistent. I don't know what happened to playoff Rondo happened, but Markieff Morris, I don't know if there's a playoff Markieff going on or what, but geez, he's earned his minutes. But here's couple things to note, though, from the previous games. Is it at all concerning that the Denver Nuggets bench outscored the Lakers bench 32-23? Like 9 points, it adds up. It's a decent amount. Is it at all concerning to you?
Concerning, not so much, because when it comes down to it, at the end of the game, it's not gonna be the bench players on the court, right? For the Lakers, you're gonna have the guys, the stars, the starters, right? That's not that's and I mean they're up 2-0. Last game was too close, but I wouldn't say it's concerning. Maybe for me, it's definitely not concerning at all, because I knew of this already. Like, this is no surprise to me. If other people who weren't really who didn't really take notice to Denver this season, maybe they're more cautious, but I'm not. Just because I've been saying it for a few months now that Denver was a dangerous team. several before the playoffs started. I remember, the four of us on the show. You guys predicted the Lakers were going to win all four games. I said they were going to lose one game to Denver because Denver was just very dangerous. And then that was when the Lakers went on to lose like a whole bunch of games, and their only victory was against Denver. But in that game, it showed how like deep Denver is, and
Yeah.
Lakers won that game on a Kyle Kuzma 3-pointer at the end of the game. Denver did not play any of their starters no much later than like 23, 25 minutes. Their starters did not play at all in the whole fourth quarter. So that right there showed me that this Denver team was dangerous. And a lot of people wrote them off too easily. They could have they were very close to being the 2 seed over the Clippers. But they took the 3 seed, and let's say Mike Malone plays the starters more in those bubble games. Maybe they get the 2 seed, you know what I mean? But when they matched up against the Clippers, people wrote them off too easily, and I get why they did, obviously. But this is not a team that got here by luck. This is a good, hardworking team that has talented players. Like I know they say everybody in the NBA is a good player, right? Even the bench warmers are good players, but that is very true for Denver. Their guys who don't even play are really talented, and so that's why I'm not surprised at all that they're scoring more bench points.
Yeah, and from a Laker perspective, I wouldn't be concerned either.
Yeah,
what were you saying about
it? I mean, hopefully, if you're the Lakers, you've done your homework and you know what I mean. So you're not surprised, you're not too cautious about it, because luckily you have 2 superstars right there. You know what I mean? If you were someone else, maybe you're cautious, maybe you're worried, but from Lakers standpoint, I wouldn't be.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a similar outlook on it. Basically the same thing. It's as I think you've heard me say it. You missed a couple episodes. Every single prediction round, I've been saying the Lakers, because their 2 stars outweigh everybody else's stars. Like, I consider the rest of the team, but playoff time, you've heard my theory. Role players start being a little more inconsistent, playing less. I don't know what's up with the Lakers role players actually now, but my point is, I predict the teams with the better stars. There's a lot of reasons why I thought the Lakers would beat the Rockets easily, but one of the big reasons was because LeBron James and AD are better than Russell Westbrook and James Harden. So I used the same mentality on this one. Their 2 stars are better than the Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. No matter how hot Jamal Murray is and how on fire he is, I just say LeBron. Still, who would you rely on? You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Yeah.
Even though Jamal's proven himself. And it's the bench. Sorry, go.
No, I was gonna say it's funny though. I remember you said that every time that it's the role players. But that was one of the things where I disagreed with you on, where you need the role players to step up. That's the difference maker. I mean, historically, that's the difference maker, but maybe you might be right, because in this era where star players go to the same team together, and anyone matching up against those Warrior teams, they got a very slim chance, right? Because they just have too many weapons. But I mean, if you have more evenly matched teams, like for instance, Lakers have 2 star players, Denver has 2 star players. Yes, the Lakers star players are more recognized and up there, but still, you need those role players to get you the championships.
You do for sure. Here's my outlook on it and my explanation, other than some analytics saying like role players are typically more inconsistent or worse in the playoffs than the regular season. It's a big reason for it would have to be, because in the old days, the stars, even if it was Michael Jordan and stuff, they were pretty evenly matched. Even though Michael Jordan was better than Larry Bird and Magic, it's a very close battle. So then like the rest would go to the role players. And even now, when there are some really dynamic duos and stuff, it seems more teams have the margin of star power is way more now than teams back in the day. Like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan was the best of his time, best now, I'd say, but not getting into that debate. But then Magic Johnson's right there. Larry Bird's right there. But now you got LeBron James, AD. Other than Paul George and Kawhi, which we see what happened to them, I don't think there's anyone that's close to that duo. Back then, people can compete with Magic, people can compete with Jordan. I don't think any stars can really go head to head with LeBron and make us convinced that they could beat them. So the role players, they do matter. I'm not saying they don't.
Yeah,
They
I get what you
typically
mean.
step down because the stars are relied on even more today because they have more of a margin between who's better. But my point of bringing that up, I don't really find it surprising either that the Nuggets had more bench points. A lot of LeBron ran teams have jokes going on where they say, "Oh, when LeBron goes off the floor, everything goes to crap." So I'm actually kind of surprised that they played that well, though. Honestly,
They're stepping up. They're stepping up.
for sure.
Yeah.
And the Nuggets kind of organize it to where, and even though the Lakers had like even bench minutes than the Nuggets bench did, they had like the same amount of minutes, so that's not really an excuse. The Nuggets kind of organize that to happen because Michael Porter Jr. is on the bench, but he plays near the same minutes as Jeremy Grant. The only reason Grant starts is because defense. LeBron's on the floor. And Michael Porter, he's not a developed defender. So they kind of organize that to happen. So it's expected. That's why I don't think it's concerning. And, oh, look at this. We got Joe in the chat already roasting me. Classic Joe disagreements with Kyle. I like it. He said, what? Jordan didn't win titles without Paxson and Kershaw. I do agree with you. Role players matter. Robert Horry, they really do matter.
I get what you mean. I think so. I get what you mean. Where role players, they tend to be inconsistent.
That's what I mean.
Now, here's the difference maker: the ones who become inconsistent, their teams end up losing, whereas the winning championship teams, their role players step up to the challenge, and they show up when it matters. So I get what you mean. I do. I think I was just I was hearing it one-sided. But now I get what you mean.
Yeah, I don't mean to say. Yeah, I word things pretty badly. I don't mean to say they don't matter. I'm just saying they're not going to be as consistent as your stars are, or from what I've seen in research, as consistent as they were back in the day. I'm not one of those back in my day kind of things, because today's athletes are amazing. They're faster, stronger, but role players today just seem more inconsistent. I didn't see Steve Kerr when he was on the Bulls go cold a lot. I didn't see a lot of role players that were like, and he's great, he's won championships, that were like Lakers Danny Green right now. That dude you just don't know. And that's one thing, if I'm covering him and like people ask me questions, how do you think he's going to do? It's the worst question to answer because I don't know. He's going to go 0 for 7 from 3 or he's going to go 7 for 7. I really don't know. It's like a J.R. Smith kind of thing. I'll look at Joe in the chat. Of course, they're not consistent. They're role players for a reason. But like I said, back in the day, I feel like they were more consistent. But good. Agree to disagree on that one. So we moving on to next topic. Some people think AD hasn't proven himself. I actually have a coworker. He's like, what has AD done in the playoffs? When I'm like, LeBron, I'm like, I'm not even a Lakers fan. Y'all know that. I'm like, they're winning the finals. They just are. They're looking hot right now. They got LeBron and AD. My coworker's just like, what has AD ever done? I've told you guys on the show.
Yeah.
It was already enough when he swept the Damian Lillard-led Trailblazers in a series that was expected to be very close. I thought AD did enough.
I get what you mean where, yeah, they won that series. They swept them, but I don't think that's enough.
Well, because you got to consider his team. It's the most he could do. I didn't expect him to win that series. So it's like, I don't expect him to go to the conference finals with the Pelicans.
Yeah, but that was a team that had Drew Holiday and Rondo.
They were underrated for sure.
Like those dudes took care of Lillard and CJ.
Of course, they were underrated. That's not my outlook on it in the end. I could see why you disagree. But now we in the current day, they deep in the playoffs. He's done consistently well. He hasn't really done cold. What's real crazy?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
In game 2, he actually did. He did cold. AD, I think he only had 9 points in the first half.
9 points.
In the second half, he stepped up like the big players do, these stars, because he is a top star. And Joe, your coworker is a moron. AD is the best big man in the NBA, and I 100% agree with that. I am not here to roast people. You've seen me. I'm not a trash talker. But my coworker's a Knicks fan. And he's saying all this crap about the Lakers. Like, you know me, I'm not a Laker fan, but he's the biggest Laker hater. To the point it makes me single-handedly root for the Lakers to win the finals even more. Every week is like LeBron's a pussy, this and that. But this isn't about him.
Yeah.
He says AD hasn't done anything in the playoffs to convince him they're going to win the finals, even at this point when they're up 2-0.
You know what, man? I'm glad they played. I'm glad they played Portland in the first round because that, like we said, man, I don't know how long ago it was, but when they faced Portland, it was gonna be one or two things: either Portland was gonna stay hot and like shock them and upset them, or it was gonna be a good punch in the mouth for the Lakers that was gonna wake them up and really say, okay, now we need to step up, and now we know what we need to do to get to the championship. And that's what happened. They got smacked in game one. And ever since that game, Anthony Davis started playing like a man, started playing like a beast. Because I told you this, I said this months ago. I was like, I'm tired of AD playing like a pussy, man. He just does. I know he can make 3-pointers, he can make fadeaways and stuff, but you're tall, man. You're like one of the tallest guys in the court. Dunk on these guys. In that game one against Portland, he was getting bested by Nurkic and Whiteside, and that's how we ended up losing that game.
Yeah.
Ever since that game, he was dunking on them nonstop.
You're right about
that. He's doing what he looked like Kentucky AD, the guy who I cheered for. You know what I mean? I was a big AD fan back in the day, and then throughout the years, he kind of just like. I understand it's more of a shooting league now. You know, the more range you have, the better. But sometimes, especially in the postseason, when the game slows down a bit, go down in the post and be a beast, be dominant. And ever since that game one, he's been doing that, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's doing it. He's balling out, and less and less. I don't know if you noticed, but less and less. I've been talking a lot more less about him because he changed. He changed. He was starting to be a big man, be dominant down there. And so, honestly, it's a blessing that the Lakers got Portland in the first round. They got smacked, and then they won 4 straight. And then against Houston, you know, they felt them out, lost game 1, won 4 straight. Now they're facing, you know, a Denver team where they just smacked the hell out of them in game 1. And then game 2 looked like it was going that way again. They took the foot off the gas, but at the end, he made the big shot. Now, to answer your question, I think you're going in this direction. He made one shot. We're not in the finals yet, so I still don't think he did enough. But he's going in the right direction. Because at the end of the day, if Lakers somehow lose this series or they lose in the finals, we still don't have a championship. So it was all for nothing.
So the main question I was trying to ask, and you did say no, you basically answered it. You don't think he's? I mean, obviously you pick him as a team because he's the best at his position. But do you think he's done enough to prove? Say they were to lose this year. He's not going to play awful. He has at least 20 points. You don't think he's done enough to prove teams should trust me to win an NBA Finals? I can do this.
No.
Really? You still don't? I thought he did on the Pelicans.
Dude, now this is his big stage, and we're still in the process of him doing it, right? We
won't know until he does it.
That's what I'm saying. So at this moment, September 22nd, he has not done enough yet. We're about to, like I said, this is a pre-show before Game 3 Western Conference Finals. He has not done it for me yet. I mean, at this point, if he was on another team, maybe he has. When he was in New Orleans, he did enough. But we're talking about the Lakers, man. And I'm not even saying this as a biased person. In that arena, they only hoist up championship banners. That arena would be full if they put up banners for division and conference championships. But they only put up championship banners. So in that essence, no, he has not done enough yet. I mean, I'm sticking to it. And I like what Charles Barkley said. I don't really think the players are not listening to what analysts say during games. But at halftime, Charles Barkley said AD only has 9 points. He scored 37 in game 1. Or was it? I think it was 37 in game 1. Why isn't he still doing the same thing? He needs to be dominant. he does not have that killer mentality, and that's what I told you.
He's dominant enough. He's got LeBron.
No. See, that's what you did right now. Just counteracted what you're trying to say. He has LeBron.
He doesn't need to score 37 every single game because LeBron going to do it.
He needs to. He needs to.
He may not have the opportunity.
When you're a 1-2 punch, you got to do the work. Or
Let's
else
see your outlook on it.
Or else you're just gonna be like the Clippers, right?
Okay, well, he doesn't have to be a GOAT because I know what you're saying. Not exactly every game, but how many players have averaged 37 points per game in the playoffs? There's not many, man.
Yeah, the ones that did won the championships.
I'm not trying to argue 80s and one of the absolute top 5 players of all, because that's like top 5 players of all time numbers. 37 points per game in the playoffs. That's freaking crazy.
No, but I'm not saying you got to be in the 30 range. At the time, he only had 9 points at the half. Only 9 points, right? So Charles Barkley was saying, like, hey, man, he needs to bring out that killer mentality. And right now, he's not showing that he has it. He needs to prove that he has it. And what did he do? He came back in the second half and he did it. And he put the game winner just to add a little icing on top of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now he needs to keep doing that 30 range. He has to. If he didn't do that, the Lakers would have lost. And I would have been out here saying a whole different thing. Like, remember a few months back when I said he only scored 6 points? And 30 minutes? Or he played a whole game. He only scored 6 points? I was like, what the hell's going on right here? But no, and ever since that game too, he even said, he's like, I got to do better. I have to do better. I'm not proud of what I did.
And he did.
So the fact that he's telling himself, I want these moments and I need to do it at this stage. He's already halfway there. He acknowledges what he needs to do. Now he just needs to continue to capitalize and do it. And I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. He came back second half. He finished with 32, I think, including the winner. So I like where his head's at right now. I'm confident in him.
So your answer is not as bad as I thought. You're in the middle.
No, I'm not saying he's trash.
No. You're just saying no because you haven't seen it yet. That's it. You're that kind of person. He's got to do it for you to believe he can do it.
Yeah, you got to.
Okay.
That's why. I mean, but you're saying did he do enough now with the game winner? I'm saying no, he did not, because he only made one game winner so far. Like,
I understand. Here is why I think he has actually, and I'm glad we disagreed. I love myself a good debate. For all the reasons you said, I said he already did enough, or near enough, when he beat the Trailblazers on the Pelicans. But you disagree. That's fine. Perfectly fine.
He did enough for that franchise.
He had 6 points that game. He adjusted.
Yes.
First round of the playoffs, he does good. He adjusts his style. You were saying he became a bully in the paint. And against the Nuggets in game 2, first half, he was having a lot of problems in the paint. Then he started shooting his reliable mid-range, which is one of the best in the game right now.
Hey, mid-range, I have no problem with.
And it goes in. So he has proven he can adjust in general. Like at the end of the season when he had 6 points that game, he can adjust at halftime. He can hit game winners. He can be very consistent with at least 20 points. I say that's enough.
No, it's not, though. In the regular season, maybe 20 is okay. But I'm just taking it from the greats, man. Shaq says, what you do in the regular season, you need to add to that in the postseason. Because that's where you become forever immortalized.
Makes sense.
That's why I'm saying this. He knew what he did. He went to a franchise with prized history to match up with a forever great player to make history. So he knows the job's not done.
So you're saying he's got to make the history.
Yeah.
I can see your outlook on it.
If they win the championship, then he did something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But as of right now, he hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't done enough yet. Because we all know this for them, this is a championship or bust season. That's why the Clippers are getting clowned so hard right now. Because they set this team up to be a championship or bust season. And it sucks, man, because Paul George is my favorite current player in the league. but he's making himself worse. He blew it. He played awful, and he took so much shit. And I couldn't even back him up anymore because he was playing awful. And then after they lost, he said, "Oh, this was our first season together. This wasn't a championship or bust season. We still have more time." But throughout the whole season and the beginning, when the season before the season even started, he was like, "No, we came here to win a championship." So he contradicted himself. And when I saw that, all I could do is shake my head. You know what I mean? So
There's nothing much he can do. He's got to prove us wrong.
Yeah.
Now.
So they're out, right? Now we got the Lakers. They're the other team that's championship or bust. The other 3 teams that are still alive, they're not in the same. You know what I mean? You get what I'm talking about now?
So you're saying like not as bad as the Clippers because Paul George played god awful.
Yeah.
But if AD would have only scored 20 points, do nothing really clutch, since it's championship or nothing season, you're saying he should get that smack talk too, because that's what the season is. They set an expectation.
Yeah, he needs to, like I said, he needs to amplify his scoring in the big moments, which he's doing so far. If he scored 20 points, yes, in game 2, the Lakers lose that game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you.
So
good point. You give him credit where it's due. He's just got to win.
Yeah, he's got to do it. He's on the right track. That's what I'm saying. He's on the right track.
So one thing here, we moving on to beat AD, the unibrow himself. What? Can the Nuggets actually come back from this series? Of course they can. We're both going to say yes. We know the talent of this team. But now the question, what do they have to do? I'm going to start because I've been asking you all these questions and just hitting you with the replies. I'm going to start this one. For me, what I posted on a preview is either Jokic or Murray have to hit 40 points, or if they don't, like not each, just one of them has to hit 40, and if they don't, one of the role players has to hit at least 20. That is oddly specific, but I tried to calculate the points, how much they would add up to as much as I could, how the Lakers defense had them pretty much figured out in game 1. You don't judge series off of game 1, but the Nuggets have a lot of defensive players, and then they have a few gems and scorers. It's like a few defensive players like Grant guarding LeBron sometimes. AD is just not going to be enough. So what do they have to do? My outlook was the 40-point thing, and other player scores 20, or somebody scores 40. They only lost by 1 shot without doing that. They came pretty close. I still believe in my mentality. Even though they only lost by 1 shot, that is my outlook on it. If one of them has 40, maybe 40 is a high exaggeration, bump it down, 35 for Jokic or Murray, and that's enough to win. But what's your ideology on this? What can they do to beat the Lakers?
You're saying that one of them needs to score 35 or 40?
That's what I'm saying. This is very specific, but I believe in my numbers. Watch him prove me wrong tonight, and I'm going to laugh. But Murray or Jokic, one of those two stars needs to score 35 points at least. Or if they don't, another role player needs to score 20 when Jokic and Murray are at least scoring 20. It's very specific.
I'm telling you that you are half right. Both of them need to score 35 points.
You're saying they both have to do it.
They both have to because they're the less talented team. Their star players is why they're here. Those star players, it's the same thing I said for AD, same thing for them. Those star players need to increase their points in the big stages. Both of them have to do 30-something points. They have to. And then your role players, they got to do their best to play defense. Grant does a good job of guarding everyone except for AD. And that's really what it comes down to. Nobody on that team can really guard him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But honestly, they really don't have too much of an answer because they're struggling to guard Davis. I mean, but I guess their best way out is to outscore the Lakers. And you're going to do that by having both your star players scoring 35.
So you say both Jokic and Murray need to score. That's just a theoretical thing. Because if Jokic has 20 points, but then he has 10 assists, then you know what I'm saying. They're going to win that. But it's like a theoretical stance. I
Nah,
don't like
man, that's not gonna matter. They both got to put up big. They got to put up big numbers.
because Jokic
They
only
gotta.
put up 20 points in game two, and Jamal put up 35, and they only lost by 2.
No, they gotta put up more points. Because what did I say about AD? If he would have scored 20, the Lakers would have lost.
True.
Jokic scored 20, they lost. If Jokic put up 35, or he's not even 35, he would have put up 30, they would have won. They both got to score 35 points. They have to be in that area. And then they have to trust in their role players to play good defense and then make some shots when they do, which they did. Porter made some shots. Grant made some shots. Gary Harris made some. And then deep in the bench, PJ Dozier comes out of nowhere and he even scores, 3 or 4 points, which is a little bit, but they're still points. And what he did doesn't completely show up on the stat sheet. You know what I mean? From an intensity, from an energy standpoint. So, yeah, both of them need to score 30 points, 30, 35. And then trust in their fellow teammates to pick up the slack.
Yeah, it's
That's
crazy after thinking about this and breaking it down. And that's what I said in one of my previews. Other than the star power, why I believe the Lakers will win this series, easily in game terms. The games are going to be close, but number of games like the series, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be close.
Yeah.
It's just so many things have to happen for the Nuggets to win a game. That's why I believe the Lakers are going to win. And even though we disagree with the numbers a bit, you say the same thing, right?
They not just one, both of them have to put up big numbers.
Or the Lakers just go cold from the 3-point line, because that happens sometimes.
Honestly, that's very true. And I mean, let's not forget turnovers. Both teams had a high amount of turnovers. There was a sloppy game in there for both teams. So usually whoever wins that turnover battle could end up being the winner. I don't remember off the top of my head who had more and what was the number, but I know both of them had like somewhere around 20. So that's another thing. Denver just has to maintain not being too reckless and out of control. And if they have less turnovers, that could be a factor right there too. One less turnover, and maybe the Lakers don't even have that last possession. You know what I mean? It's the little things. It's the little things like that. So
I understand it is because when you're out talented, because Jamal Murray and Jokic are out talented by LeBron and AD.
Yeah,
the odds of you winning are low. And then if you have more or just as many turnovers as the team you're out talented by, it's over. And I understand what you're saying completely. And one thing too that I gotta point out with the Nuggets, there's so many things that have to happen for them to win. The Lakers can't go cold on 3, but they should never expect it. They have been on fire for some reason. They just completely rebounded because before they were a little cold. Game 1 of both of the first 2 rounds, they were cold. But it's like, that's never an expectation. They could pray for it in the locker room, pray the Lakers go cold from 3, but don't expect it. It's like, I don't see them winning this series. I don't even see them coming close in terms of number of games they win. I think the games will be close. I say a 4-1 if I had to predict. 4-1 Lakers, I really do.
Well, initially I had it going 6 games.
I think I did too.
Initially, I had to go in 6 games because I wanted to say 5, but just out of respect for how much respect I have for Denver and their team, I gave it 6. Game 1, I was like, oh shoot, the Lakers look like they know what to do in every aspect. And then in game 2, like I said, things were going that same way, foot off the gas. Denver got their way back in. AD had to make a shot to win the game. And now it got to be, like I said earlier, that kind of kills your spirit as a team, right? So at this point, I do kind of see going 5 games now. Denver might get 1 still, but it's just something about that. You get crushed like that, you claw your way back, see the ball go. You saw the players on the reactions on the court. The ball went through the hoop, and they were like, heads down because they fought so hard to still lose.
what you said earlier, that hits your confidence hard, man. That might even go into this game. It really might.
Might, yeah. It's a test for Denver. We'll see how much fight they have in them still, because we both know that they've been knocked down plenty of times, but they've been able to rise back up. But this time, it might be midnight for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, too much talent on that Laker team.
Yeah.
Speaking of that talent, we haven't talked about LeBron that much. He's the other piece of that, the leader of that team, the heart and soul. So I wrote an article on this. How much this playoffs means to his legacy. It means to most out of any playoffs I've seen in his career nearly. And my explanation of that is if he wins the finals, every single person's criticisms against him, because part of legacy is the people's opinions. Even some people overreact, you ignore them. But a big part of legacy is people's opinions. And a lot of people think it's not even... I'd like to say they just don't know a lot about sports. But, you know, if it's this much people, then that's not the case. There's no way all of them are not knowledgeable of sports. That's just me saying it. They say he's a playoff choker. He needs a super team around him. Better talent than every team in the league by far to win a championship. All the criticisms. I say no to that. He beat the Warriors. Even though Kyrie did hit the shot, and Kyrie is undervalued. End of story. LeBron proved it there. But
there's no Kyrie shot without the LeBron block on Iguodala.
Mm-hmm.
So,
legacy, people's opinions. People in the end of the day, no matter what I have to say about it, they're gonna say LeBron's a playoff choker, this and that. So this playoffs, he's facing a good team every single round. He got the Blazers round 1, Westbrook, Harden round 2, on fire Jamal Murray. I mean, it would have sounded better on paper if this victory was over the Clippers, but that team was not going to do anything against them with Paul George playing like that.
Yeah.
Kind of prefer it this way. If Paul George played bad, people would say LeBron got lucky. So they got a good team here, and in the finals, an amazing team chemistry, well-coached Celtics or Heat. They're both really well-coached. Every single round of this playoffs is hard. So a lot of people saying he's had an easy route to the finals. That criticism, gone. Playoff choker, gone. He's even involved in the team war, so he's never getting carried. But a lot of people saying he needs this talent to do this, he needs that. Even though AD hit one game winner, LeBron's leading the floor now. He's even leading the scoring chart a lot while trying to pass it more times than he has throughout his career. That criticism, gone. But what it would mean if he loses. The criticisms are just proven right. Even if he were to rebound and win it next year, the odds everything falls as well into place as I described below. Every round probably won't be hard. The Portland Trailblazers as an 8th seed probably isn't going to happen again. That team's too talented to do that. You know, and there might be another team, or other teams might fall. You know, the talent may shrink. The conference finals and the finals might not even be hard next year. This year, it was guaranteed from the start of the bracket, every round would be hard. And the finals would be hard too. Basically, you can't say guaranteed. Maybe the Orlando Magic could have won, but you know what I mean. So I'm rambling here. You get my points. This is the biggest playoffs of his career because all criticisms can get buried or get elevated. Do you have anything else to add to that? What do you think about that?
I mean, you know, I feel bad because he's been unfairly criticized his whole career, just because they painted this picture of him being
Jordan.
You know, the next Jordan and the next one up, the chosen one. And I mean, now the part where he kind of messed up and bought into it is he got chosen one tatted on himself. But yeah, he's been unfairly criticized his whole career. Playoff choker, that's not fair because pretty much every single player had to lose before they could win.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean,
for real.
Jordan did not win until his 7th or 8th season in the league.
Bad boy Pistons in the first round, man. Things happen.
Yeah, he had to lose to the Celtics, he had to lose to the Pistons. But they don't call him a choker. You know what I mean? Like, everyone had to lose. Everybody knows the story about Kobe's 4 air balls. like it. But you don't see him being called a choker either. So for some reason, why is LeBron called the choker? I never understood that. And yes, I will say I used to be one of those people who call him that too, because 10 years ago I was in elementary school, or somewhere between elementary and middle school, and I was one of those like annoying biased Laker fans. So
I knew a lot of those, man.
yeah, so I used to call him a choker, but on fairness, he never deserved all that. Um, Unfortunately, no matter what happens, he's always going to be criticized. If they win this championship, they're still going to say something, Oh, he had AD. He always needed somebody.
It just matters more at this point because
honestly, nobody has won the championship by themselves.
Because me and you, that's true. We already think his criticisms are unfair.
Yeah.
But it's like the whole world should know if he wins his 4th ring now, that those criticisms are they're laughable. Right now, as much as we disagree with them, people say they're not laughable. Many think they're valid. But if he wins a 4th ring at this point with this hard of a playoff road, why I say those criticisms are buried? Because you're always going to have haters saying it, but they're just going to sound flat out stupid at that point. They are. I
don't know why, but people like to target him, and it doesn't make sense to me.
He is advertised as the next GOAT.
That's honestly that has to be the reason. People are so connected to Jordan, where they will literally shoot down Bron anytime they have the chance. And if he wins the championship with the Lakers, he will be the first person to win a championship with 3 different teams, which is impressive, right? But some people will say
super teams.
That they will also say the reason why he's the first person to ever do it is because back in the day, people stood with their team. I mean, anyone could have done that. You know what I mean? Like, I think the only other person that could come close to doing that, and I'm talking about old back in the day, right, has to be Bill Wallen and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because Bill won with Portland and then he won with Boston. The Boston championship, he was more of a bench warmer because he was already having injuries. But Kareem, on the other hand, he won with Milwaukee, and then he won several with the Lakers. So, like, they could have done it, but in that time, you really didn't move around too much. You only moved around if you got traded, for the most part. LeBron's the first person, and it's unprecedented. What he did with the decision, he was the first person to put it in his own hands. I'm going to choose to go to this team. So I understand the argument. He's the first person to do it for 3 teams because that was something that really wasn't common for you to just choose wherever you want to go. But it's still something impressive in its own right. And I mean, let's say the Clippers win this year, Kawhi would have been the first person to do it. But that one is a little different because he didn't choose to go to Toronto. He got traded. He got traded there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not his fault.
Yeah. So
he might do it. I don't think he'll beat LeBron. There's no way Kawhi does, but I just thought he might do it. He might do it too.
Well, Kawhi might do it, and I thought that they were going to be able to do it this season. I mean, I've said it several times that earlier I thought the Clippers were the better team because their bench players, they had more depth. But obviously, like we all know how that went for them. Matter of fact, it was the star players that didn't show up for the Clippers. You know what I mean? Like,
it's shocking, man.
Now Paul George, people saw that one coming. But Kawhi Leonard, Kawhi not scoring in the 4th, that's something that I did not see coming at all. Because I mean, Kawhi, he just kind of had this like he wasn't going to take no for an answer attitude when it came to losing in the playoffs. But hey, at the end of the day, they're wearing that Clipper uniform, and I guess the Clipper curse, lives to see another day. So
they got some huge backlash for that one. I mean, of course, it's everybody, but you see Joe's Twitter, man, that's something else. Oh man, Joe's a character.
I didn't really see his Twitter, but I saw everyone else's Twitter. And I saw everybody else's Twitter, including CJ McCollum and Dame and all these other. I had this other friend who's a Lakers fan, and I saw his Twitter. It was hilarious. And I mean, hey man, when you came in, you're talking a lot of stuff. I think it was more Pat Bev than anything, but that's what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
LeBron. Yeah, I honestly think LeBron will be the first player to win with 3 different teams. Kawhi can do it, but based off how Paul George been playing, I'm betting LeBron.
Yeah, PG did not do enough. He did not do what he was supposed to do as a star player, and he actually did the opposite. He went from averaging 20 something in the regular season to averaging like 10 to 15 in the postseason.
It was bad.
He took 2 steps back, and that's what you can't do.
You can't take one step back when it comes to playoffs. If anything, you got to step up a bit.
That's you have to, yeah. So
step up a bit. You got a hell of a team. Tell you that. That's not carrying you, but you got a hell of a team. Because you shouldn't expect the role players to have better numbers than you. Not saying that happened with Paul George, but that's all I'm saying. If you're not going to step it up in the playoffs, you got a good team. End of story. So, back to the LeBron talk, though. He very well might become the first player to win a final. My money's on him. And a motivation that might lead into that is him not winning MVP this year. People have been saying, because he said it upset him. People are saying that affects his play. Me and Isaiah, we're going to analyze if that really does affect his play or if it's just an elite player being an elite player. Before I do that, though, I got to talk to the audience a bit. Check out FSM After Dark every single night at 9:15 p.m. They got uncensored takes on sports. It gets humorous, hilarious, very serious, strong debates. I advise you guys to check it out. Also, follow Franchise Sports Media on Twitter, Instagram. It's at TheFranchiseLV, capital T, FLV. On YouTube, it's just Franchise Sports Media. Find all our other takes on sports. See more of me and Isaiah if you want. Explore some other people. We got some awesome people on this staff. Kalani is hilarious. I recorded a podcast with him. Was amazing. So, LeBron James not winning MVP. We both said in a previous episode, we didn't think he deserved it simply because Giannis had better numbers, better team record, played less minutes, and had less teammates around him.
Yep. I mean, I wish I had the video saved, but Charles Barkley said it straightforward on TNT. They announced the Giannis won, and Ernie Johnson went around and asked everybody, "How do we all feel about this? Do we agree with the decision that Giannis got the MVP? And what are your thoughts?" And Charles went first, and he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm cool with it because he had the better numbers, he had the better record, the best record in the league, and he did not have Anthony Davis as his teammate next to him. And those were my driving points. That is why as a proud Lakers fan, I stand true to my word that I have no problems with Giannis winning MVP. And I'm actually happy that he won because he deserved it. He did. He balled out this year.
Regular season award.
Yeah, man. I mean, that I don't want to go off on a rant again like we did last time, but people think LeBron should have won. I get your point, but Giannis didn't have Anthony Davis there to help him out. He did that. He had Chris Middleton, who is an all-star, but he isn't a superstar, right? So he did that. He took Milwaukee to the first seed in the East. They were beating teams by a margin of 18 to 20 points. They weren't just squeaking by. They were consistently beating teams up, blowing them out. And honestly, if they go into the regular playoffs, no virus, I think they go probably to the finals. The 4-month hiatus messed them up, and then Giannis gets hurt in the series, and they get eliminated.
I don't know if I agree, but it can help. But it's
a regular season award also. What happened in the playoffs should not matter.
Okay, I'm not trying to get on too much of a rant about this because that's not what this topic about. But real quick, I'm gonna say two things.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Having it during the playoffs is stupid because it creates recency bias. Also, the last thing I'm gonna say about it, just all our points. Giannis deserved it. If you want to argue LeBron deserved it because he's a good player, fine, whatever, it's arguable. But the fact that people are saying LeBron was snubbed, come on, man. It's close. If you really think LeBron deserved it for whatever reason that me and Isaiah don't see, so be it. But nobody was snubbed. It's not like LeBron clearly deserved it way better than Giannis. We don't even think he's better at all in the regular season. We know he's the better basketball player. But for the MVP award, it's Giannis. But speaking of that, LeBron didn't get a lot of votes.
You're right. Sorry. You know what? No, you're right. I went off track with that one. Honestly, I'm surprised. I thought when they asked him about it, he was gonna be like, I don't really care. I'm here to win the championship, not that award. When he said he was pissed off, honestly, I laughed because I was surprised. I was like, what? This was pissed off. Like,
I don't see him as the kind to care.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm pissed off. I was like, man, like,
that's your outlook on it. You laugh at it.
Yeah, I laughed. I was like, why are you pissed? He's like, I only got 16 first place votes or whatever. I was like, whatever, man. I mean, I hope it motivates him to play better. But in game 2, I mean, he did his thing in the first half for game 2, right? He scored 20 something points, and then he had like 7 or 9 or something in the second half. So it still came out to like 20 something or 30 points, which is still pretty impressive. But honestly, the way he played in that fourth quarter was pretty lackluster. He was doing some turnovers. I hate when he shoots 3-pointers. Like, don't do it. If you're gonna do it, at least do it in rhythm. You know,
sometimes he catches heat.
Dribble the ball, shoot 3, or get like off the pass, shoot 3. But no, when he holds the ball until the shot clock's about to go down, and then he does this stupid thing where he looks down at his feet and then takes a dribble and step back, and then it looks ugly as shit. I'm tired of him doing that shit, man. It's fucking irritating. Stop doing that. You may be wearing a Lakers jersey, but you're not Kobe. Don't do that shit. So I take it to the basket. And take it to the basket. You're a fucking beast. You're a freight train, right?
He could draw a foul or score every time he drove.
Get free throws.
90% of the times he drove, he could draw a foul or score a basket. But
and to my surprise, though, even when he was taking it to the hoop, he was still missing. So
kind of was. You're right.
So that's why I was like, oh shoot. I was like, LeBron's kind of. I'm like, damn. That's when I was starting to think, oh shit, they let this game slip. Denver might win this game. Like I really thought that. I was like, shit, they're really gonna lose this game. When they gave the ball to Caruso, who had a great game, but when they gave it to him to shoot the game-winning 3, I was like, oh, what the hell? They gave it to Caruso to shoot, and then he missed it. They get the rebound. Danny Green shoots it. He gets blocked. I was like, damn, this game might have got slipped away. And, you know, obviously we know AD made a shot afterwards. But
do you think the MVP really motivated LeBron? Or
I hope it did. I mean, I really hope it did, but I don't know. Yeah, game 2's performance. He still had decent numbers, but that fourth quarter he was struggling a little bit. Hey, sometimes we have bad days, you know what I mean? So I'm not tripping too much. I hope it motivates him. If he said it's gonna motivate him and he's pissed off, then I don't think he would lie about that. At least I hope not, you know?
Yeah, I mean it can help, but in the end I don't really think it matters. I'm surprised he even reacted like that, like you said. I just think it's an elite player being elite. But who knows? Maybe it did. Maybe there's some dramatic backstory behind this. We never know. But what you said, from a Laker perspective, you hope it does.
Yeah.
And just one last segment before we go. I talked to Kalani the other day about who would you want the Lakers to face and why. Because the Celtics and he are two amazing teams, well coached, a lot of chemistry. Who's the better matchup for the Lakers? I want to get your opinion on this one before we go.
The easier matchup is the Heat because in the regular season, the Celtics matched up really good against the Lakers. I think they lost to the Celtics. They lost to the Celtics once or twice in the regular season. And I remember it was one game they got blown out pretty bad. And I remember reading about it. After that blowout loss, LeBron was upset. And he's like, I need to do more for this franchise, for this fan base. And then the last time they faced off against each other was the day before the Kobe Memorial. So it was on February 23rd. They played in an epic Sunday primetime game, and the Lakers came away with a slight victory. I was watching that game. Jason Tatum balled out. And in my honest opinion, there was some calls that went the Lakers' way that shouldn't have gone the Lakers' way.
Oh, you're admitting that even.
Yeah. But the Lakers got the victory. And I was like, damn. I was thinking the Celtics shouldn't even be this close with the Lakers. But I was like, damn, like why are we struggling? So that kind of gave me some fear a little bit. The fact that the Celtics are still in it. The playoffs are different, 7-game series, so a different ball game than just one game. I get it. So I can't really remember the Lakers playing the Heat too often in the regular season. But just the fact of those matchups alone, I think the Heat are the easier matchup. I'd rather see the Heat in the finals.
What do you have to say to the center in the paint or the big men in the paint? Because Adebayo is very good at defense in the paint, as you could see with his block on Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
AD can go to mid-range. He proved he can. And I think Bam can guard him pretty well, though. LeBron charging the paint while AD's in there. Sorry.
No, be tough
too. So what gives the Celtics the edge over that matchup? Because that's the big reason I think, surprisingly, the Celtics are the slightly easier matchup. Just because Bam guarding the paint or Bam guarding AD in mid-range. Either way. What's your idea on that one?
That's a fun matchup. Honestly, I would love to see that matchup. Bam and AD. But that's the tough part, is that honestly that's what I'm banking on. I haven't really seen the Lakers play the Heat that much. And the fact that it could be scary that they I would have to look into it and see if they played against each other all this season and what the results were. But yeah. I mean, do you know off the top of your head if they did or no?
I'm not sure. No. I believe they have once.
So I think the fact that they haven't really matched up against each other, it allows for more of a maybe slight advantage for AD, just because he's the bigger player, right? He's supposed to be the more stronger star player. The fact that I've seen the Lakers struggle with the Celtics numerous times already, that makes me think, damn, I'd rather face the Heat.
So I just looked it up, pulled it up. I could see your edge on that one too. You're pretty on point with this argument. You even got me reconsidering my thoughts. Because right here, the Lakers beat them twice, both in double-digit wins. This year, AD scored 33, the first win. No, the second win over the Heat, he scored 33. Then the other one, he scored 26. He was the leading scorer. So I don't know what happened, and I'd love to watch the tape, but I don't know how Adebayo allowed that. All I know is you're spot on with your points, man.
Yeah. That's why I don't get me wrong, I would love to see the Celtics, because why not? You know what I mean? 2020, let's have a Lakers-Celtics finals, right? But nah, I would rather face the Heat.
I see that. All right, we had a great episode today. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Kyle Randolph, FSM. My name's right below there. Spelled that way, no spaces, capital KRFSM. Isaiah, tell them your media.
Oh, man. So I'm on Twitter, Isaiah_Torres 24. Instagram, just Isaiah.Torres. Pretty simple. Hey, thanks for listening, guys.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, Laker Nation. Have a great one.